This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our partner, Audible.
Yes, it is. So we are partnered with Audible. That means that if you are looking just to check it out, you don't want to put your card in and just take the dive. You can get 30 days for free on us. If you go to audibletrial.com/JATG or click the link down below, you'll be taken there. You can sign up for 30 days for free and just test it out. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that you can get for free, a lot of Audible exclusives. But what I really like about Audible is that out of the hundreds and thousands of audiobooks that they have, if you decide to purchase something, that is yours forever. Like if you decide not to carry on your subscription or you want to take a break or whatever it is, you can always go back and listen to that book whenever you want through the app on the internet. Doesn't matter because it's yours. So once again, you can get that for 30 days for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG.
All right. The internets are blessing us. We are live, Johnny and the Greg, and maximum effort, everybody. That's right. We have Marshall with us, and we are going to discuss the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Total spoilers. So if you don't want that, I would highly suggest shutting off now, because from this point on, it's going to be spoilers. We're also going to be talking about San Diego Comic-Con, things like that. Last thing before Greg says his piece here, actually, because I saw that you need to say your piece, I've lost my train of thought. Go ahead, go.
No, I'm actually going to do a thing where I'm going to talk to my family and let them know we're talking spoilers of Deadpool. So if you don't want to hear it, you might want to put a headset on or something.
Run away, run away. Hi, the women and children. We're about to go live. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Marshall, thank you for joining us, man. I appreciate it. You are I would say, Greg and I have called you the #1 Wolverine fan. So
we know.
People that you know,
yes, people that we know. I haven't talked to Hugh in a while, so I'm not sure if he's still a fan of him, of the character he portrays or not. But anyway, Marshall, what'd you think, bud?
I thought it was fantastic. You know, it's there's so many great moments in the movie, and it's just great to see like Hugh be able to kind of really fulfill Wolverine's character. Unleashing the beast per se. But between Hugh and Ron Reynolds, kind of seeing that romance brought to TV, it's to the film, it was fantastic. Of course, tons of cameos, so that was cool to see. It's something I was really surprised to see. Someone kind of question like, oh, okay, stuff we talk about after the movie, but overall great soundtrack, hilarious, great movie. So yeah, it's good to see Hugh playing that part again. And they mentioned the movie, of course, but another 90 years till he's 90, but fingers crossed. But that's wishful thinking, but who knows? But overall fantastic movie, loved it.
You want to go, G?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Let's get that out of the way first. Kind of like what Marshall said, watching Hugh Jackman be able to fully embrace like the attitude of Wolverine, and like we had seen him go like berserk before. We had seen the rage. We had seen those things, and him slicing and dicing as much as he could in a PG-13 movie.
Right.
That being said, I know Logan was rated R, but Logan was that's a different Wolverine. That is an aged Wolverine whose powers are failing him. So I think that brings a different nuance to it, as opposed to a Wolverine who's, for lack of a better term, fully functional and doesn't have performance issues, so to speak.
There you go.
And is able to really kind of let loose in a way that we haven't been able to see him do before, which I think was, I would guess, a draw for him to be able to come in and say, yeah, I want to do a Wolverine that is slicing off limbs and heads and in bloody fashion. the way it should be done.
Yes.
Or the way it's most realistically going to be done.
Right.
And then, drop an F-bomb often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is,
Here and there. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, which is very much in tone with the character. Not that, from the 70s he's been swearing all the time, because he hasn't, but he would.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and some bubs in there too. Got to have the bubs.
Yeah,
in there too,
yep,
Yeah.
plenty of bubs, and like you said, the Marshall mentioned the cameos, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Sure.
I was probably most impressed with one, Johnny, how correct you were in the plot of the film. It was a year or two ago. I don't know if we discussed it on air or if you and I just discussed it privately, where you're like, I think what the movie's going to be is going to be Deadpool kills the Fox universe. And I was like, you think they're going to do that? I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know how they would do that. And in a manner of speaking, it kind of was.
Oh, yeah.
And I was surprised by that when I'm like, oh, they're doing it. Oh, they're really doing it. Yeah. In the most, this generation of Marvel way that they could do it, they went to the void and did all the void stuff. And I was like, okay, nope, this works.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the more films that I thought was most inundated with comic book references, like pulled directly from the comics into the film, to the point where the viewing that I was at, the comic nerds were like, like we're giggling when we see the Apocalypse, Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, or when we saw like the Silvestri cover of Wolverine on the Giant X, and we're like, oh wow. I mean, we're doing that. Meanwhile, I had two of my kids with me. We were surrounded by other people that were just not comic book fans, and they didn't get it.
Right.
They were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like they didn't get the significance of it.
Yeah, I agree. What did I think? Yeah. I thought it was a great fun time. And Marshall, you don't know about this yet, but I've been in a very, I'll just say it, a fucked up headspace lately. So this was a great escape for me, and it was a great way for me to kick back. And I was surprised about a lot of things. I was surprised that this film was so much for Marshall. It was so much for Greg. It was so much for us as fans, where you're right about all those cameos. They made fun of the number one thing that I almost get hung up on. When I saw a short Wolverine, I was like, oh, this doesn't fucking work.
Oh,
like don't have him that. I started laughing out loud because
Wolverine.
I was like, I felt like Ryan heard me on our podcast and he said, you want a short one? Here's your short one. Now, are you sure you want that short one? Because they made him comic book
king.
Yeah, they made him comic book accurate in that scene. That's what 5'3" Wolverine looks like. And that made me
like what Johnny was saying too.
What's that?
Oh, like what Johnny was saying, or like what Greg was saying is, yeah, in our theater that I saw it in, all those people, people talk about wanting that short Wolverine. So yeah, a lot of people saying, kind of laughing at that. So having that in the theater is kind of cool to hear too. So
yeah, I thought it was very cool. I thought we got to see a bunch of different types of Wolverines that we'll never see again. So that was very cool. Yeah. The other thing I will say, I was hoping so much that the patch Wolverine was actually going to be Daniel Radcliffe.
That's what I was like when they were approaching him. I'm like, oh, is this it? Nope.
Yep,
okay,
that's not.
All right then. All right then.
But what I was very actually surprised with, this didn't feel like a Marvel movie to me. This felt like the end of 20th Century Fox. This felt like that was part of this universe. It has nothing to do with
Correct.
the MCU. Yep. That's how it felt to me. The only thing and it was kind of funny because this was about the biggest meta movie I've seen in a long time, where it was like, I felt like it felt like these like the whole anchor bean, like the anchor
Yep.
bean, like Wolverine's, like basically Hugh Jackman's the anchor bean of the 20th Century Fox, much like Robert Downey Jr. is the anchor bean
Mhm.
of the MCU. And you can see how without that anchor bean, that universe is slowly dying off. And you can
Yeah.
you almost, if you think of that as what as fans as we're watching the MCU, that's what's happening.
Mhm.
You know, so that was very meta. The whole uh I almost felt like the TVA, excuse me, was like Disney because
Trying to keep track of
Disney's saying, "Hey, that's a
everything.
great universe. We're going to erase this, but we want you to come
Mhm.
over here."
Sure.
You know, and Ryan said he was running out of ideas. He didn't know where to take the character of Deadpool. And he said, when they approached me and said, "We only want you to come to the MCU," he goes, "Now I got my plot."
Hmm.
So it was kind of cool how it worked out like that, but it was it was just I enjoyed it, and but I told Greg that now as I'm done with the emotions and the excitement and just having fun in a theater, and that's the other thing I missed about the theater. This felt like an event to me. I mean, I wore
Mhm.
this. I had two guys in the bathroom. Uncomfortable story here, but we were waiting in line to the bathroom and they were fighting over buying my shirt. Like I got it up to $30. And then I said, "This is kind of scary." I said, "You guys are kind of scaring me," because they were bigger than me. And I was like, "You can go get it at Target right now. It's at Target." And they're like, "For real?" I'm like, "Yeah." One guy whips out his phone and starts looking for it. So I got out of that. But I'm saying like people were dressing up and
It
going to
didn't get
this.
strange until they started cupping him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
Yes,
he said
exactly.
the target line and was
Exactly.
immediately
I will
texting me, "I
hold your
had an
penis to go to the
experience."
bathroom. And I was like, "No, we're good. We're good, man. Thanks."
They,
But
moonlight at the AMC.
yeah.
Just
It felt like but besides that uncomfortable moment, it felt like an event again at a movie theater.
it did.
And
It
I
did.
love that. And I missed that. And I missed the cheering when we saw and the oh my gosh with these cameos that we will go into. Um and I came out of that with this emotion of great, oh man, fun time, great time. Then I started asking myself, am I gonna have the same feelings when I watch it again? Why are you smiling, Greg?
Cousin Clay is commenting and he just
Oh,
cracked me up.
okay.
Uh,
What's he saying?
well, he said one PP touch and two honka honkas is kind of what happens.
Honka honka good love.
And he, yeah, at PP touch, he lost me. So
Touche, sir. Touche. Touche. But my question was, since now those cameos are done and that surprise has worn off,
yeah,
how am I gonna view this when it drops on Disney? Like,
you know,
is it gonna
I'm
hold the test of time? Is what
and
I'm
here's the thing.
asking.
I'm going into a second viewing next weekend.
Okay.
And I'm still excited for it on a different level.
To see her
Uh,
reaction.
in that, well, there's that too. I mean, one,
Okay.
yeah, I had some family members that weren't able to go on the first viewing. So to see their reaction is a thing. Two, because I absolutely know that there were times when I was laughing just too damn hard,
You didn't
and
hear it.
I could hear dialogue being
Right.
spoken. I didn't get any of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially with some of the cameo pieces when they came out, little hidden things that I know he were in there because I'd hear someone else catch it. And have you ever been in a theater where you're like, I'm the only one laughing that loud? That was a little bit of
You.
my
Okay.
experience where if I'm cracking up, I'm not quiet. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a loud-ish laugher. I don't think annoyingly loud, but loud enough that I'm going to miss the next line of dialogue.
Right.
So I think that happened to me a couple of times. So I'm
Right.
excited to go back and I'm going to try to
That's
keep it under control to see what I missed.
that's a really good point. And before I throw this to Marshall, the one thing I wanted to say was um what this, in my opinion, there was a lot of unfair hype around it as in saving the MCU. that is if that is a question, my answer is no. It didn't do anything different that would have saved anything.
Mm-hmm.
This was to me, again, a swan song saying goodbye to 20th Century Fox. Thanks for the memories.
Yep.
That's what this was to me.
My criticism of it is pretty much that.
Yeah.
I got back. I went to a very late show. So when I got back, I saw the other press that had come out. And one of it was, I even posted it on our website where it's like, Deadpool saves the MCU or like the best movie of the MCU. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not a return. Like I said, it's not a return of the MCU to its glory. It's what we always wanted 20th Century Fox to be.
Yeah, there you go.
And then they're closing it out.
Yep.
It's what we wanted an X-Men film to be. It's the Wolverine we wanted to see.
Yeah.
And we got close a couple times, but it's not it's not going to be what saves the MCU moving forward through this next phase that they're entering, post Comic-Con news.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, nope, that's not going to do it. I mean, it certainly gives it an injection of revenue.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
That thing's making money.
Yeah. I was just talking to Marshall before you came on, 277 million domestic so far.
Yep. And I think the highest opening R-rated film.
Yeah.
Like in history. So yes, it's giving Marvel an injection to maybe do some other things and hopefully take some more risks like they did in this film.
Yes.
But after what I saw out of Comic-Con, it's not going to save anything.
We'll get into that.
So we'll get into that, but I'm not saying it's going to save the MCU. I think there are other moves that Marvel has made recently that are a step in the right direction.
Okay. I'm excited to actually hear what you think about that. Marshall, I just wanted to throw it back to you, kind of listening to us, any thoughts you had.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is definitely like a swan song, but I think it's almost like a passing the baton as well. But like for me, being in the theater, it's like I didn't have our theater was pretty lively, but so I haven't seen or experienced that in the theater since I don't know, probably the the Endgame movie.
Yeah.
So, see that again was really awesome, and it was just like this is what a comic book movie should feel like. But honestly, nothing has been really that exciting since those movies. So to see that and again in the theater was, I loved it. So it was a great feeling. So it might not say the MCU, but it does kind of give it, hopefully a spark of hope. But I
think Greg said it best, and it gives an injection.
Yeah.
And that, hey, this is R-rated. We can push it farther than maybe Disney in the past would want to. We can do that. This is the proof that we can do that. We just got to be, give it to the right people to do that. But Marshall, I wanted to start with you.
Yeah.
What was your favorite Wolverine that you saw, either whether bright or whether it was very short or not? What was the favorite cameo? What was your favorite cameo and what was your most surprising cameo?
Okay. Before we do that, Marshall, I'll let you think on that for a second.
Sure.
We did have one question that came in online, specifically for me. Did my theater have the collector's drink cups and popcorn buckets? For some reason, their theater didn't, and it was only
mine
premiere.
did.
Mine did not, but at the same time, my theater is a small town privately owned movie theater, and they never do. I didn't get the Dune bucket. I didn't get any other collector's buckets. They just don't get them. That being said, I heard that a large shipment of them, an extremely large shipment of them, went directly to San Diego for Comic-Con because they were doing special events and people were picking them up there because they were guaranteed to sell out at Comic-Con. And then they would also be bought and resold right away for collectors. And so they were playing that game instead of shipping them to some theaters. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's just something I had read online.
I can't feel it could have been an issue. It's how they would have worried about being not selling out is ridiculous.
I was told by the people, because I asked, they were sold out because they got 2 boxes. That's it. and they were sold out Thursday, like at midnight,
Mhm.
gone. So it didn't matter. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right, Marshall, go.
So I don't know. I think overall the yellow suit Wolverine, but I think with the cameos, I think Patch was cool. I
Mhm.
wish it would be like a spinoff of that. To be honest, that'd be a cool story
Yeah.
to follow. But so I'd say for the smaller cameos, I would say probably Patch,
Okay.
and then surprise cameo, Elektra.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah. Um,
there's this weird scene her. I'm like, where did she like? She just like came out of nowhere. It's like, okay, she's,
yeah.
but yeah, she's probably the biggest surprise. But
Yeah.
uh,
She still looks good to me.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
She did well.
but
Yeah.
seeing other, um, seeing Blade and Gambit too, where it was a surprise but cool to see, and of course Wesley Snipes as Blade too was
Did not expect him.
Yeah.
no.
That was
So
mine. That shocked I was like, they got him because I heard him famously, and him and Ryan never really got along
Yeah.
okay.
because he felt like I remember because I listened to the director commentary on Blade 3, and David, the director, like he didn't Wesley was intimidated by Ryan. He could see that Ryan, because Ryan was up and coming.
He was that was like his first big action
Yeah,
role,
and
he
they
like he got shredded for
yeah,
it.
and
I
he was
mean,
stealing anytime they shared a scene, he'd steal it.
yeah.
And Wesley felt it and he got pissed off. And I thought they would never work together again. So when I
Yeah.
saw Blade walk out there, I went, are you fucking kidding me? Holy
Mhm.
cow. Greg, go. I'll throw it to you. Favorite.
Okay. Favorite Wolverine that we saw in
your
that
variant.
montage. I love Patch. Patch was always Patch, and then like brown suit Claremont years. I mean, those were my jam kind of growing up. That was the Wolverine that first caught my attention. More so the Patch, but so that was one. Uh, showing the Silvestri cover, like I said, the Wolverine on the
The
giant
Wolverine with the
X
horse.
cross.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I
no,
thought,
no,
okay.
no. On the
That was
X,
somebody else. Yeah.
it was a famous cover from
Yes.
1989.
Yeah.
It is an old Wolverine throwback, and like one of those things where you're like, wow, they threw that in there, and so very much a love letter to the nerds that were alive and paying attention during that generation of X-Men.
Right.
Because like I said, a lot of the people around me that were like,
Yeah,
we don't get it.
Ursula was the same way. She's like, I didn't. What's this? Why were you oohing and
what
eyeing
is
about
the
that?
significance of
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Same thing with like Age of Apocalypse. I'm sure they were just like,
yes,
what
yeah,
happened to his hand?
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
has he only got one? So a lot of that, I loved all of it, but
Me too.
I think the Silvestri one was probably, I was like, oh, and it looked great. Like they didn't chintz it out at all. All of them looked fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought was
Yeah.
really well
You're talking
done.
about the brown suit now, right?
All of it, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
but the
Just
brown
all of it in
suit was
general.
there.
Got it. Yeah.
They didn't flash everything so bad. They spent just as much time for you to be able to take it in.
Yes.
Yeah.
To where like if you would have been in and pressed pause somewhere when we get it on streaming or DVD, that you can really take it in and have it look good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Patch was probably the one for me. The biggest cameo that I'm gonna say like I did not see coming at all was Gambit. I mean, the reason being is because it never happened. Like it was a rumored project, and they have
years.
a line in there.
They had him come up, like on Hall H. They had him come up. Yeah.
I mean, it was going to happen. Like it was just, I think, right after Magic Mike, where Channing Tatum was riding high on his stock, so to say, his Hollywood push, and it just fizzled. Like every chance they get, it would just go away. And in fact, it was before they made, I think, Origins, X-Men Wolverine Origins, where they had the guy who played John Carter of Mars. He was Gambit in that movie for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. You know why, right?
No.
Okay. It was because Channing couldn't make it to that shoot. He was busy with something else. He couldn't get there.
He couldn't get there in time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they gave it to that guy.
So So the fact that, I mean, Channing Tatum has been working on it since then,
Yes.
and it just never happened. And then
Correct.
as soon as he came in, I was like, did they get him? Oh my God, they got him. And how they made fun of his terrible accent. I mean,
That was great.
who was your dialect coach?
Yeah, that was
And I like,
fantastic.
see,
Yeah.
and that's where I lost it. That's where I knew I was laughing too hard, that I'm missing other one-liners that he's
Yes.
just ripping into people.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. That was probably the most surprising one for me.
Okay. For me, I was the only one that wasn't thrilled about Henry Cavill as Wolverine.
Yeah,
I saw that and I thought that dude's way too freaking huge. Like,
but they mentioned it. He's like, here it is, just service
yeah,
for the people.
yeah, I figured
you
that.
wanted to
Yeah.
see it. Here
Yeah.
it is.
Yes. And I didn't like it. So I'm hoping that becomes a John Krasinski moment where we don't get that one. I know I'm in a minority, but do you agree with that, like, Marshall? Did you like Henry? Or
no, I didn't care for him either. It's like,
okay, as long as I'm on your side, then,
like,
Marshall, I think I'm in good company. So
like the sideburn, he had like the big sideburns.
oh,
like,
they were
like the
just
huge,
so fuzzy.
and with the cigar in his mouth, you're like, is it even him?
Yes, it was really tough to tell. But
yeah.
so that was my least favorite Wolverine cameo. I actually liked the Age of Apocalypse one because I never thought I'd see that one. I
Right.
never thought I'd see that one. I thought that was so cool because you're right. With whatever we saw, they paid special attention. They didn't cheap out on it. They got the hair right. They got the arm right. They got the suit right.
Yeah.
You know, so that was really cool. My favorite cameo, believe it or not, and I didn't expect this, was when Chris Evans came on.
It was a bait and switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, okay, they got Captain, and then he goes flame on, and he was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Ursula
Again,
even goes,
I just started laughing.
yeah, Ursula goes, wait, what? I don't, because she didn't understand the Fantastic Four thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm laughing my ass off, and I was like, holy shit, they have him coming back as Johnny Storm. And
that was one of the big moments in our theater too. That's one of the big applauding was when he said flame on. That got the crowd going.
Yeah. And you could tell Evans was having so much fun in that role.
Oh yeah.
Well, and later on where he's like, do you know what he was doing to the budget? I mean, like, that is, I mean, again, making fun of itself, being so meta as it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved how he killed Johnny Storm. I just loved that whole thing. And then he was like, let's review at the end. And then you see that that Deadpool had word for word what he said.
Yeah.
It was so good. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I've already got a dog pool stuffed animal, so I'm already loaded up there. I'm good with dog pool. Yeah, I thought I don't know if there's that much more to talk. Like, am I missing anything? Anything you want to bring in? Anything?
Well, I think let's talk about the villain for a second. I mean,
Cassandra
bringing in Cassandra Nova.
Yes,
like
the heavy hitter
again. Not known outside of the nerd realm. Like,
yes,
like, and that's even at like if you haven't, like, you could be a comic book fan and still not be an X-Men fan, because the X-Men are like the all my children of comic books. Like, you need to really try.
Yes.
Like, no one says I'm just going to jump into X-Men and hope that you can pick it all up.
Right.
Because there's going to be so much stuff that you missed.
Going all the way back to the Claremont days. Yeah,
exactly. I mean,
it is a deep, deep hole.
Like, from what I understand, X-Men now, you could jump in and start reading it. We'll enjoy it for what it is. But then they're going to make a reference to like Bishop. And if you haven't done your homework and you don't know who Bishop is or how he's important, you're going to miss some of it. You gotta hit the Googles. You got to go back. You got to read histories and wikis and everything else. So bringing in Cassandra Nova, who is, Charles Xavier's in vitro twin sister, who he murdered in vitro, is a whole dark, like, what the hell? Like, and that came up pretty much towards the end of my comic buying, like, career. Like, it was to the point where I'm like, this, like, I thought that would be a jumping of the shark moment for.
Was that a famous?
Was that a famous? It happened, and they just.
was that a famous writer that wrote that? Neil Gaiman? What did he write that part of
Was
X-Men?
that a Gaiman one?
I thought so. Like he brought
Yeah.
Cassandra Nova
Which,
into it.
that guy, that's a whole nother topic we'll have to approach later. But
Um, I'm trying to
I don't
find
know.
I'm sorry.
I don't know who wrote that.
To piggyback off of Greg really quick, if anybody does want to do a deep dive into the history of the X-Men, there is a great YouTube channel out there. I don't know his name right now, but I'll get it back to you. But just type up X-Men. This guy is an X-Men connoisseur, and he will break down every relationship, every arc, all of it. So there are sources out there if you want to jump into X-Men. So
Yeah.
yeah, but Cassandra Nova,
bringing
yeah,
her in and having her be without people knowing much about her, making her relevant and making you both love and hate her at the same time, or loving to hate her. It was good. It was really good.
yeah, yeah. I liked it. Uh, I wish I could add something else. There's a lot going through my head.
What another disappointment I had, I wanted to see more Colossus. Like we didn't
Yeah,
get
he's
it.
fun.
Yeah.
They
Like,
kind of that whole crew that he was fighting so hard for, like we
Yeah.
barely got it.
We
Yeah.
barely got them at
Yeah,
all. In fact, Peter had the most screen time out of any of them.
Yeah.
So
Yes, yes.
much love to Sugar Bear. Because I never thought, to me, I've never seen a comic accurate Colossus either.
Yeah.
That, like, we saw, because of course I rewatched Deadpool and Deadpool 2 before I went to the theater, and he was good in Deadpool 1. Deadpool 2, he got some more screen time, but then, like, his fight with the Juggernaut, I was just like, eh. And
Yeah.
I think they're still making him they're depowering him a bit. Like, he's an Omega level mutant.
Yeah,
Like, he should be.
Yeah.
The fight should have looked more like the Hulk versus Abomination level of destruction instead of what we got.
Right.
Yeah.
If I could find two flaws that I wasn't a fan of, it was I didn't really understand the breakup. I didn't understand the breakup between him but I didn't understand. I didn't see it. I got the idea he wasn't there, or he was no longer connect. I didn't understand it. I felt like they could have spent more time on that, or came to some sort of a resolution or something. And there's one thing that I'm picking now. I'm nitpicking. I realize I am. This took place in 2024, but he goes and digs up the grave, and Wolverine hasn't died. He doesn't even know Wolverine died, because Wolverine Logan happened in 2029.
Oh, well,
so that Deadpool wouldn't know unless he got the pad, went to 2029 where he was buried.
I think that must have been what he was done, because even when they showed the TVA line, it was disappearing backwards.
Yeah.
So maybe 2029 was already going away, or started to.
Okay.
So when they got him, he had to jump forward.
Or maybe that discussion is on the editing floor. Like maybe they actually had that in the skip, but they just didn't. They edited it out. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, and the one thing that actually confused me was him going to the MCU for a job interview, which, again, that was very meta, because it was kind of Ryan saying, Disney, take me in, which that felt very meta, but I didn't under the character Deadpool. I didn't understand that, him going to interview and then traveling back to his own period. I didn't understand that, but maybe I'm not supposed to. But those are my only things. What do the comments say, Greg? We got anybody from comments, like, did they like it? Did they not like it? Or
yeah, I mean, we're getting some chatter. Just, I mean, they're talking to each other, which I think is good.
That's awesome.
Clay says, Colossus's head wasn't even on screen very much, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Which was ginormous, by the way. His head was
huge. Like, no Domino either. Like,
she was
and we left Deadpool 2. I mean, and we did I think they made a comment of why Cable was gone.
I didn't hear it
But
if they did.
yeah, I think it was like a one-liner of
Yeah, he
like,
mentioned
"Ugh,
it, but yeah, I
that
can't
guy."
remember what it was either. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would have
Oh
thought
yeah,
that
he
would
didn't
have
test
made
well
it.
with audiences.
Yeah, something like
That's
that.
why he was. Yeah.
Hey, I had a question for you guys for
Yeah.
the scene where X-23 was sitting with Wolverine at the campfire there. Um, she mentioned about him saving her. Was she the X-23 from
Yes.
Logan?
Yep,
Yes.
that is her.
That was her. Yeah.
Okay,
That
I
was
thought
that
that because all
X-23.
the
Yeah.
kid references in there too, in there. So I thought something, but I wasn't 100% sure on that
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it a cool shot? Nod back to the
She
Logan.
done growed up. Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I was really impressed with? Hugh Jackman. Like I was very impressed with he had some heavy duty moments
Mhm.
that made me feel for him like, oh, he never wore the suit because he couldn't let him know he wanted to be there. Like
Yeah.
that old man pride,
Mhm.
that my father's generation knows extremely well. Greg, yours too, I'm assuming. That got to me. I was like, oh man, it's like that one guy who's staring into that oblivion, regretting choices,
Mhm.
and I thought he did a great job with all that. And God, they put the mask on him.
That was
You didn't like the mask? I liked the mask. At first it was
I
weird, and
I
then I was
liked
getting used to it. I was like,
yeah.
I
okay,
liked the mask when he was moving, like when it was in
okay,
motion and he was fighting and everything
yeah,
else. And like, yeah, when it goes on, you're like, "Yeah." But then there's
yeah,
scenes where he's talking and it's like it's cutting him
yeah,
weird. And I
yeah.
was like, I don't like it. Like
I
it
was
doesn't
I it was a little jarring for me, but it got me. I at the end I was fine with it. At the end I was fine with it. But
it kind of it hit me a little bit because like I said, like at one point where he's like, he's turned to the screen and it's dark in the background and there's red lighting and it's just cutting him like weird across the nose kind of
yeah,
thing. And I'm
yeah,
like, you know what? I wonder if they're doing it. Like to me, it didn't look good. And I'm
okay.
like, I wonder if they don't think it looks good either.
But so they're showing you,
And so they're showing you, they're like, this is why we didn't do it.
yeah,
This is exactly why it looks
yeah,
weird.
yeah,
And I was like, okay.
yeah.
Don't
I heard actually today that Bryan Singer, when he was originally doing the first X-Men movie, he didn't want I forgot what you call it. He banned comic books on the set.
yes.
He didn't want it to be from that world. He wanted very realistic. So that's why we never got yellow suits and we never got,
Mhm.
things like that. So,
Yeah.
and
And the actors had to sneak stacks of comics into their trailer.
actually, fun fact, Kevin Feige was their go-to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was their go-to like, "Hey, does Wolverine like this?" No, he didn't fucking like that at all. And they're like, "Oh, okay. All right, then I won't do that." So yeah,
That's funny.
they were hiding smuggling. I think Feige was probably the ringleader in smuggling comics. So it's funny
Good
though.
producer job if you can get it. I need
There
to
you
go to the
go.
comic shop. I'll be back
Yeah.
later.
Anything you want to add, Marshall? Anything else about the movie?
I can't wait to see it again.
Okay.
It's
Are you going?
I'm gonna not anytime soon, but hopefully. But um, yeah, I'll definitely once it's come out to buy, I'll be buying it first day and watching it on repeat. So I loved it. It was a great movie.
Mhm.
I'm going to throw
Uh,
something out to our viewers and our listeners. Marshall is looking for the Aviation Gin Wolverine label. So if you guys
That
find it at your
bottle.
stores, let us know and we'll see if we can ship that out to Marshall. He's the biggest Wolverine fan I know. He has what? How many tattoos of Wolverine you got on you?
three so far.
He also named his firstborn son and only son Logan. So this is the guy. So if the Johnny and Angel community, I'm the Johnny and the Greg.
Johnny and
Sorry,
Jenna.
sorry.
Sure.
If the
Why
Johnny and
not?
the Greg, yeah, slight
Pull it together, people.
Freudian slip there.
Yeah.
If Johnny and the Greg community can help out Marshall, our number one fan here, that would be awesome for us. So I'm keeping my eyes open. Oh, and what's the beer, Marshall? Because that was a really cool thing.
Actually, it's called Weapon X. It's an IPA beer.
Yeah,
Can't remember what the name of the brewery was, but
me too. It was something Ale Works.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
It's a really cool looking. They did both for Wolverine and for Deadpool, but I went to every.
Almost, it's almost like a zombie Wolverine, but he's got the mask on and stuff. But
Yeah, I went to every.
Oh,
You found it, Greg?
no, but
Oh,
the zombie, um, I think I know. I've seen that company somewhere before. Maybe it's C2E2, but
I gotta
okay.
find it.
There, I got it. So that's what it looks like.
okay.
Yeah, Mason Aleworth.
Mason Aleworks.
Yeah. So if anybody
I
sees
see that.
Mason Aleworks Weapon X Hazy IPA, there is also a Mason Aleworks Maximum Effort IPA that Johnny would love. So if you guys anybody out there has these eyes and you find them, let us know in our comments below and our Twitters and let us know. So
You gotta look up their distribution, man, because liquor distribution
they
is
got different rules and stuff and
weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, yeah. They're literally functioning under post prohibition,
I
like
had a girl say she's
created
gonna
just
keep her
post
eye out
prohibition.
for me.
Yeah.
So
Says they're in
Marshall, I got
Wisconsin
two
and
coming.
Illinois.
And I got
They,
two
they,
coming, Marshall.
they
Well,
distribute.
luckily, I work in a grocery store, so I have a lot of liquor and contacts and
Yeah.
vendors that I can reach
Yeah.
out to. So
Yeah.
hopefully, I can find it from somebody.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's talk about some
Cool,
San
cool,
Diego
cool.
Comic-Con news that happened
Oh,
this weekend. And
okay.
let's just before we get to the big one.
Johnny's freezing.
Damn it, really? Really? Again?
Yeah, a little again. Yeah.
Here and there.
Pay your internet bill, will you?
Yeah.
So yeah, so the big news is Johnny's internet is catching up is to come out of the. I mean, they did the MCU plant panel held Saturday night. They showed a little bit of Thunderbolts. Interesting. There's an asterisk at the end of the Thunderbolts title, which I've never noticed before, but everybody's like, "What the hell's that about? What is that?" And so we'll see. I think we need to watch at least Brave New World to figure out what that is. Um, then they showed a little bit of that. They did a Brave New World panel where they got to see some more Red Hulk in action. Another plot point which I don't care for. And then they got to the big news of Fantastic Four. They saw some footage from that. And then the bigger news is that the Russo brothers are doing the next two Avengers films, bringing back the Russo brothers. When Marvel was killing it, it was the Russo brothers were the directors. So that is a very positive move, probably the best move in the right direction, I think. And then they brought out who is going to be cast as at least the first on-screen Doctor Doom, and it's Robert Downey Jr. And they kept using the term new mask, same task. So I know in the multiverse, there is a version of Tony Stark who becomes Doctor Doom. And it is very much the same, like peace in our time, wanting to save the world. But in doing so, finds out that the best way to save the world is to run the world. And that is why he kind of becomes the Doctor Doom character. So I don't know. John, Marshall, what do you think?
I like. I'll let Johnny go. 'Cause I think he's just been,
He's been waiting for it.
yeah, yeah.
I don't like it flat out. I think it's a
I don't.
it's almost like we don't know what else. You couldn't find a different actor. You
Right.
couldn't do it. You're going back to it. It reminds me of when Thanos was sitting on that Steve as the three Avengers were coming in Endgame, and he's like, "You couldn't live with your failure, so you came back to me."
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. It feels like we don't know what else to do, so we're going to revive our anchor point and bring them
Mm-hmm.
back. And that's just that works. The Russo brothers, I'm very happy about, but
Yep.
I'm just the whole idea of Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. No part of Robert Downey Jr. is intimidating.
No, none. I mean, talk about a 5-foot actor trying to be intimidating. He is 5 foot. He is not physically intimidating at all.
Yeah.
So the thing, they could CGI the hell out of him like they did with Iron Man and have that be it.
It
But
just
even his voice and his speech pattern does
yeah.
not speak Doom to me.
Yeah. And I'm afraid he's gonna try and fuck that up like Dr. Doolittle. Like it's gonna come off horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Like,
it's okay. Doctor Doom is Marvel's Darth Vader.
mhm.
Do you see Robert Downey Jr. playing Darth Vader? No. To me, this is such a it's like to me, this signals we give up. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
It is such a pandering move.
Yeah.
It is pandering to the fan base that has been screaming for the return of Tony Stark, for the return of Robert Downey Jr., to the point where they're like, okay, we're gonna give you it. We're gonna give it to you. You want Robert Downey Jr., you want Tony Stark. Here he is. He's Doctor Doom. What do you think of that now? And I'm like, why? Why? Like,
Yeah.
and
I
and for as
Cillian
many,
Murphy would have been a better Doctor Doom.
sure, yeah. For as many people as stood up and cheered when Robert Downey Jr. ripped off the Doom mask and there he is with his hands raised, like, my people. I mean, that is a humongous room. Like, I got to see Hall H, not at Comic Con. I was at a different trip because you know what? They hold other events at the San Diego Convention Center.
What?
Yeah. And so I got to see Hall H, and I was very much impressed with how big the room was. But at the same time, I'm like, I know that there were more than a couple of other nerds in there looking at Robert Downey Jr. going, fucking what? Really?
Yeah.
That's the route we're
Yeah.
gonna
I
go?
think Greg and I, if we were there, we would have been like, oh, really? That
Yeah,
fucking guy? Really? Like, why are we like Iron Man? What?
I don't know. I don't, and cousin Clay, you're absolutely right. He is going to be a variant. Like, I have
Yes. Yeah.
absolutely no doubt that he is a variant version of Tony Stark that becomes Doom. But like, I don't.
Yeah.
They're getting so far into the multiverse that I think they're losing track of, like, just some solid storytelling.
Yeah.
It made me a little bit more excited for Brave New World, actually,
Yes.
because Brave New World looks to be like a solid, just comic book
Yeah.
Captain America film, Falcon film, whatever you want to do with it. And what I hear came out was that Giancarlo Esposito was killer, like, in the footage they saw. Um, I know Tim Blake Nelson was at Comic Con, so they are bringing the leader back, and that's how that's going to run. That I'm sure Ross gets the Red Hulk thing. Um, and they announced some other projects. They announced Planet Hulk. Blade was totally missing
Mhm.
from the docket. They are going to acknowledge Tiamat, the celestial, like they're calling it Celestial Island,
Mhm.
um, which again hasn't really been approached since then. You have a giant head and a hand coming out of, I think, the Pacific Ocean,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, whatever, didn't happen. Like, the whole world, the whole planet saw Celestial kind of roll up on Earth,
Yeah.
and they haven't approached it since then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened a couple years
Yeah.
We'll
ago.
get
Whatever.
to it. We'll get
Yeah.
to it. Yeah.
So I like that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, the to me the biggest step forward is bringing the Russo brothers back, and
Yeah.
it's the one. I'm not excited about this Robert Downey Jr. thing, but knowing it's in the Russo's hands makes me go, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I am willing to hold my breath for it because those two are in charge, and they did a really good job with the other pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you.
So,
What do you think about Robert Downey Doom, Marshall?
When I first saw the initial clip, I'm like, eh, it's like, it's like going back to Wolverine. It's like there's no one else that can play Wolverine besides Hugh Jackman. So it's like with seeing RDJ as someone else that's not Iron Man. It's like, it's I think the art force and forcing it too hard. I think the issue with him going into kind of refreshing, but yeah,
Yeah.
I
Look,
just-
I I don't know a lot about Reed. I know Reed and Doctor Doom butt heads, but I think what would have worked better is if in Secret Wars, like they would have said, like, Reed needs help to defeat Doctor Doom, and they find a variant in Tony Stark. That would have worked.
yeah,
'Cause he would have been in for one
Yeah.
picture. It would have been Tony. Everybody could have been happy because we brought back Iron Man to fight Doctor Doom. But it's like Loki's a good guy. Tony Stark's a bad guy now. It's like you're gonna lose people, man. You're already kind of losing me. Like this just seems so desperate.
Unless you may have stumbled on something, John. Because I mean, it's Avengers Doomsday. They're saying that RDJ is going to be cast as Doom. We know it's a variant because it's just gonna be. But that being said, they could still introduce an evil Doom and then go find a good Doom, and RDJ's the good Doom. Like that's still
Yeah.
could be it. Like
Yeah.
everybody's right now making the assumption that he is the evil Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
But given the secrecy, going back to Deadpool, switching gears here real quick, the fact that they were able to keep a secret for all those cameos to me says they may have cracked a little bit of the code on keeping stuff under wraps.
Okay.
So with that, maybe they are getting a little sneakier with their plot lines. Maybe they are getting a little sneakier with we never said what Doom he was playing, and they're right, they didn't. They're saying he's playing Doctor Doom on stage with 50 other Doctor Dooms. Maybe that is something.
Okay. You giving me a little bit of hope, Greg.
And I haven't read Secret Wars, the new one. Say Secret Wars to me, I think of the Beyonder, like 1980s Spidey getting the black costume. So this new one I know has a lot to do with like multiverse and God Emperor Doom
Incursions, God Emperor Doom.
Yeah. So maybe that's where they're headed. I would assume it has to be where they're headed with this new one anyway, but I don't know enough about it to really make a judgment call other than maybe Downey's playing a good Doom.
Okay.
well, like with casting too, it mentions they got Doctor Doom. Then, so what was your thoughts on Pascal playing Reed Richards? Then,
Mine?
oh, either or.
You can go ahead, John.
I didn't see the footage, but I heard the way that they showed footage of him acting as Reed, and it's very uh Bill Nye, I guess. He does some sort of funky accent that's not his own. And I don't go ahead, Greg.
From what I understand, yeah, Reed is hosting like a Bill Nye the Science Guy type of show, but I don't know, like the way he's speaking, I don't know if he's going to speak like that through the entire movie. Like that's like his TV personality voice. I like Pedro in a lot of things. I've seen him do action. I've seen him do comedy. He wasn't my first thought of who would play Richards, because everybody's first thought was John Krasinski. That being said, this entire cast, I am withholding judgment on, because I've seen all of those actors play different types of roles. So to me, it's really going to be up to the director to get the right performances out of them. I'm a big fan of the Bear, which I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. The guy playing Ben Grimm,
right?
And I can't remember his name because it's not like it's John Smith. I mean, it's like
it's hard.
Yeah, it's a tough one to remember. But I've seen him in that. He, in my opinion, has the best character on the show because he shows the most growth in his character journey. And when you see him go from angry to funny to sympathetic to heartbroken, I mean, he's just got a lot of range. And I'm like, that's what you need for Ben Grimm. Like, I'm interested to see how that all pans out.
I am
So
encouraged by people that actually saw the footage because, and this is what spoke to me, is that they said you got a very family feel with the footage we saw, which is important because that's
mhm,
what they are. They're family. And you
mhm.
got to have that connection, that dynamic. So if they pull that off, I think it'll be a good move. It's called Fantastic Four First Steps, right? That's the
Yeah,
title.
because it's literally 1960 in kind of the
Alternate. Yeah,
faux future. And I believe did I see this right? They are in a variant timeline.
they are. It's a
So it
completely
is
different timeline. Yeah.
so bringing them over is going to be an incursion, and like I'm sure Reed will stabilize it somehow, but bringing them in, and yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the movie that's really going to bring in other realities into the main reality.
I think it's going to be a movie where they lose.
With Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I think they're going to lose their world and they're going to bleed into ours.
Hmm.
And that might set the path on to everything else.
Yeah.
So, all right, Greg,
Yeah.
Polyjamoury.
Sure. Why
All
not?
right.
I tried to find something to do with superheroes, and I didn't have a great run at that.
You don't want to run
Um,
in sync bye.
well, but people know about that. To be like, you know, kind of kind of defeats the purpose of giving somebody some good press.
Bye.
Um, I did find, where's it at? I
Hey,
added a go ahead.
now I was saying while you're looking, Marshall, how did you feel about him digging up the bones?
I laughed out loud when I saw, when he's sitting there next to the adamantium skeleton. It was hilarious.
I didn't think the whole time on the press junket, he was talking about respecting that movie.
Yeah.
First 5 minutes, I'm like, oh God, he's desecrating everything about that movie.
Yeah, no, I laughed out loud. It was good.
Yeah.
I- Again, spoiler alert, but I love when he's like, when he's got him on,
Oh
he
yeah.
Oh
cuts himself. And he's like, this is hard.
yeah. I'm sorry, God, I don't know how.
How does it? Oh yeah,
I didn't know it stuck. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in my in the theater I was in,
Yeah.
like right ahead of us, and I'm like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. I shit you not, somebody brought a toddler.
Oh
Like it was
no.
it was
Oh,
mom and dad and like a 2-year-old.
Come on.
And I'm like,
Use your
what
head.
is wrong with you? And I was waiting for the people at the theater to be like, nah, man, we're not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Um, I think they knew some people that knew some people that knew some people.
Hmm.
Um, I was shocked. I was just
Yeah.
like, why? Why would you do it? And then I was gonna be like, if this kid makes a peep in this movie, I would be pissed.
yeah,
Yeah.
good.
And
Well, he probably didn't. He was traumatized.
nope.
Yeah.
Well, it was a late show. I will say
Oh,
that.
okay.
It was a late show.
So he went
And
to
I think the
bed.
kid was just asleep.
Yeah.
Like,
Still
like
loud in there though. I was surprised they would be able to sleep in that.
yeah, oh yeah, it was loud. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, and they, where we sit is where we sit, and they sat right behind us. I was like, do we get up and move? Do we be those people? Do we not? And so I was just waiting for it to happen. It didn't happen. So okay. Polyjamoury for today. And again, I'm constantly adding stuff to our playlist. So if you want to check out other Polyjamoury songs, some of them, not everything is making it on the air. I'm just throwing stuff on there as I find it. In fact, I found one playlist from a place called Songhouse, which is just Songhouse that I think is like almost like a school of rock for vocalists.
Mhm.
And there are a ton of great singers on there doing just random songs. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw all of them on Polyjamoury. So we might feature Songhouse in a future episode. But today, there's a band goes by the name of Falling in Reverse. They have their biggest hit, I believe, is called Popular Monster, which is good. They're a harder rock band, but they did a compilation with another guy who's big on the charts right now by the name of Jelly Roll. And I'm
Mm.
like, what is that? Like, to me, stylistically they are very different. So I'm like, how is this going to match up? And so that's what I'm going to put on today. This is Jelly Roll, or Falling in Reverse is the main, and then Jelly Roll is there, backing them up. So this is their song All My Life.
Yeah, I've been high and low, I've been sober, I've been fighting, searching for my love in all the wrong places. Word up on the streets is I got a bad reputation. Yeah, I may have true blood, but that was true love. Got a stroke of bad luck everywhere I look. Every time I go right, everything goes wrong, and I self-destruct when I'm close to love. So someone save my soul, because all my life I've fucked up and I can't deny. I'm doing my best to get it together. I told you once, I told you a million times, I just can't live like this forever. Yeah, I've been up and down, I've been through hell and back. I've had my share of drama, baby, please cut me some slack. I know you wanna get through to me, but I am my worst enemy. I may have true blood, but that was true love. Got a stroke of bad luck everywhere I look. Every time I go right, everything goes wrong, and I self-destruct. Close to love, let her buckle down.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good. I think it's cool.
Not
It
bad.
kind of reminds me of almost some. I think was it the '90s grunge. Kind of makes it feels
it's
like
got
that.
a little bit of an Offspring feel. I would say maybe late '90s, early 2000s, like Bowling for Soup or something.
Yeah,
like
it
that.
just feels like that would be a song I was definitely playing. I was letting him play while I played video games in college. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, probably because I was mostly controlling the playlist
Oh, okay.
at that point. So,
Yeah.
although
Actually, that song's pretty tame for a Falling in Reverse
it
song.
really is, yeah. I mean,
Oh, okay.
they do a more of some of the screamo kind of.
Like Ronald is one of their songs. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
fairly recent. That one's got like the real like gut
Wow.
like.
Are you a fan of them? Do you know who? I didn't know about this group. You knew about them?
I know I'm not a fan, but I know of them, and I do like some of their songs. I'm not like a
Yeah.
direct fan, but they got some good stuff. But
I've actually got Ronald queued up.
Okay.
that'll give you a true a true taste of their style.
So they were mellow there.
Yeah.
Very, yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
All right, I already hear it. I already-
There's a fucked up place sometimes. Reaching in from the other side.
Johnny's like, nope, 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 nope,
No, that's not Johnny's Jamboree right there.
nope, not at all.
No, not a Johnny Jamboree.
Johnny Jamboree, nice. Maybe you should start your own playlist. And
Yeah.
we'll put on
It would
Johnny
be like,
Jamboree.
"You are my sunshine."
Bye, 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 bye. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cousin Clay chimed in here. He said the lead singer of Falling in Reverse is a giant piece of shit.
All
And I
right.
have no idea. Like I don't. It's pretty rare that I follow a band like they're socially like someone can make really good music. I'll be that's really good. They'll be like, dude, he made that in prison. He's a multiple murderer of children. I'd be like, oh, I had no idea.
He made that with somebody's teeth, man. Come on.
I'd be like, really? He did? I didn't know that. Going back to bands that have been around a long time and they're horrifying, but I think still good people. Guar, you guys remember Guar?
Yes.
Kind of the death metal personified.
Yeah.
They did a version of I'm Just Ken.
Oh,
And
wow.
it slaps pretty hard, man. I gotta tell you,
Awesome.
it's not bad.
Put that on the list, and people that can go check it out.
I'll have to find it and put it on there. I saw it on a reel or a TikTok or something. Somebody sent me, and I was like, oh, I kind of like it. That's pretty good.
All right, Greg. I think we hit our limit, man. Marshall, thank you for joining us. It was awesome talking to you.
Appreciate the invite back on. It was a good time. So yeah, great movie. Loved it. Can't wait to see it again.
There you go. Greg, take us out.
Yeah, whether you're in a movie theater or just rounding out the rest of your summer, we're heading into August. And remember, don't be a douche.
There you go. For our favorite guest, Marshall, the Greg. This is Johnny saying, take care. Have a great week. Podcast out. Take care.
See you
I
guys.
always say take care twice. I hate that. God.
Such an idiot.
Yeah. Idiot. God. No, you're doing fine, Chris. You're doing fine. It's a good interview.